All right. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Heliopsychosis podcast. This is your host, Vikka Draziv. Guys, welcome to the show. If you're watching us from YouTube, do comment, like, share, and subscribe if you're first time here. And yes, today I didn't play our intro because we are working on a brand new intro for our Heliopsychosis podcast. And we will be also renewing a few things about the podcast. So, yep. And yes, today's show was also not really programmed because I thought the boys would have been tired after this crazy weekend because they were there all the way to the meetup in the Hilton, and then again in the next day the meetup with David Wise, and then they were at the actual debate and all the crazy stuff happening there, and then they had uh, Jeannie's back home. So I thought I didn't really wanted to stress them out to be on a show, but we had a chat earlier in the evening, and they said, yeah, they would love to do a show tonight. So we are here. I'm equally excited to hear from them because they were literally there in the person. They even met each other, Gene and Keith, in person. So that's really awesome, and many more people and many stories. So I hope we are going to have a great show tonight. But before we jump into that, I just wanted to comment that it's already almost going to be a week that the mechanical realm is out in public to the masses. And what are the results? Like, yeah, for the first week, at least on my page, we are almost nearing 20,000. Then we also have on Eddie's channel, Flat Out Banjo. It's almost around 5,000. And then it's there on Facebook. My page is around 15,000. And there's also already it's up on Telegram by other people. It's also on Facebook by other people, right? And then there's BitChute, Rumble, and I don't even want to get in there. There's definitely it's already up there. So I could calculate that already in a week time we have more than 50,000 people have watched the Mechanical Ram documentary. So we are quite glad with that results for the first week. We know this documentary have a long way to go, and absolutely the whole weekend this was also amazing and all the timing. So let's jump in with our co-host and the panelist. My good brother Gene, how are you, brother? How do you feel? You feel the buzz, you feel the electricity, brother?
Oh, bro, I can't even explain. My hair standing up for the whole weekend. It was electric, and the feeling in the air was amazing to hang out with all those super cool people. I got to meet Keith. Keith, it was great to meet you, bro. Real happy I went. I decided at the last minute I was going to drive, but my back would not let me. There's no way I could do two 13-hour drives in 3 days. So we flew in, which was great for me because I hadn't flown in 38 years, and that's all over with now. So it was great to go there representing the mechanical realm along with Flatten the Curve, and I met so many cool people, bro. And Keith did a great job at documenting so many great moments through the weekend. And I got a hold of so many people. Guys, wait till you see who we got coming up on the show in the upcoming weeks. It's going to be great. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah, it was a major meltdown this weekend in Tennessee, and it's hard to explain what exactly happened there. But Greg Locke went in there overconfident and underprepared, and it showed. He didn't have much to say about anything Dean was trying to talk about. He he wouldn't let Dean answer much of anything, and the whole thing ended up like a dumpster fire. It was monumental. It was historic. It was biblical, and I was really proud to be there representing everybody that we're hanging out with here, guys. It was amazing. I met a lot of great friends. You know that the flag. I've said this a few times, and now I'll say it 100 times over again that this community is a bunch of warriors. You brothers and sisters out there are really very courageous people to stand up in the world crowd right now, and and say things that we're saying to the masses, and they're starting to really understand. You know, we got our act together, and and the truth's coming out, guys. And so we're gonna have a lot of great stuff coming up soon, guys. But this conversation tonight's gonna be awesome, and I'm really glad that you're all here, guys. Thank you all for showing up, and we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and supporting what we're doing here all together. This is a really great family, and I love you all. I want to throw one more thing in that this weekend was really extra special for me. I didn't say anything to everybody, but me and my wife celebrated our 29th anniversary in Tennessee this weekend, and happy anniversary, Mandy. I love you, and it was a great weekend. Um, that was very special for us. The whole thing was just a big mind explosion. You know, so thanks, guys. It's great to be here and to be doing what we're doing together with all of you. So thank you all so very much, and I'm always looking forward to hanging out with you guys. And I can't wait for next Sunday, and I really can't wait for the next meetup because flying is not a concern for me anymore. We landed today um, in the rain, and we did not make a 2 point landing. We hit the ground really hard, and we had some turbulence. But you know what, guys? I love the whole thing because all I did was start to think about the hundreds and hundreds and into thousands of flights that I have missed that go on all the time. So I didn't let my mind mess with me, and I really did. I enjoyed landing, not such a perfect landing through turbulence in the rain. I loved it all. I did. I loved it all, and you a bunch of very special people out there, and I applaud you all, and I'm honored and proud to be here with all of you. And keep up the good work, guys. This is all coming out. We're not wrong. And that meltdown was a win-win, triple, double, quadruple win for us. We did not lose any flat earthers. I knew that going in. I think we all knew that. And the outcome was, it was a little unfortunate to watch. It wasn't fun to watch the guy melt down like that, but it was great to. I'll take the win because the guy he had nowhere to go. He was unprepared, and he didn't realize what he was getting himself into. I suppose. So welcome everybody, and thanks for coming and hanging out in another episode here with us. Thanks, Vika. I'm glad we talked and through the show. I wanted to strike while the iron was hot. Because next week it might not have meant so much to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, yeah, everyone can hear
Welcome,
that
everybody. Thank you, brother.
Gene. Yeah, everyone can hear Gene's voice because he's been non-stop speaking for this weekend. So you can literally hear him. His voice have gone low, right? Because of that. So awesome, brother. Congrats for 29 years. Congrats to you and congrats to Mandy.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of the toughest things. If you do that in life, you could succeed in many things, anybody and everybody, because 29 years is a lot of time. That really tests the patience, right? So you did a great job. You're both doing a great job. So definitely more thing coming up would be more harmonious and positive. So, and I want to also
Thank you for
thank
your.
you, brother. I want to thank you, brother, for all the effort also of you going there and also representing the mechanical realm and the flatten the curve too. So absolutely awesome. Thank you, brother, for doing that. And yes, we also
Thank
have
you.
our next panel. My another brother, amazing, amazing job, lot of effort. Keith, brother, how are you? Keith, are you there?
His microphone is off.
Yeah, Keith, we don't hear you, brother. You need to maybe log
Keith, how you
out,
doing,
and
bro?
we don't see even
Yeah.
your
Hello?
now. Yep,
Yes.
now. Go ahead.
Hey, can everybody hear me now? I lost you there for a
Yes.
minute. I don't know. The signal's been in and
I'm
out
gonna
where I
text
am.
him. There
I
you
Yes,
don't
go.
we
have
No,
can hear.
but
Wi-Fi.
we hear you now, Keith. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was a good weekend. I can reiterate some of the things Gene said. We'll get into a little bit deeper on some of the details, but Friday night was just the overview of the last couple of days is Friday night was the first meetup with Tim Greer, who is a personal friend of both of the pastors, has a history with both of them. And he had to meet up, and they expect, he had a room that was supposed to hold 80 people, and we get there and there's about 150 people. So they had to open it up, make it a little bit bigger room, and it was full. A lot of faces and names there from the Flat Earth movement over the last several years, people that I had seen only on video and heard their
I
voice many
lost you,
times.
Keith.
I'm going to call back.
All right, till we get back, Keith, we have our final panelist, Evelyn. Evelyn, how are you?
Hello, everybody. Well, I'm really hyped up the whole day. I'm trying to follow as much as possible from the debate, from Keith, from Jean, whoever, and from all the Facebook pages, from Dean Odell, and wow, what a day! What a day! I mean, it must have been very overwhelming for you guys also to meet all those great legends of flat Earth. I mean, I think almost everybody was there.
There was a lot of big names there, Evelyn. There was a lot
Yeah.
of very well-known people there.
Mm. And I it
Yeah, and I made
so
sure that my main focus was
Go ahead, guys. Well, Evelyn, you're there?
yes.
You go ahead.
Okay. No, I had decided to actually, watch it live. And here in Europe, in the Netherlands, it was
At
at
1 a.m. Yeah.
1 a.m. So I thought, okay, I'll probably manage a couple of hours until I really, really get tired. And well, those first 2 hours coincided with um, with Dean Odell's contribution. So I was satisfied with that. I loved it. I loved it. He came up with biblical verses and with scientific evidence and eyewitness evidence and um, and then Greg's started and um, and then I decided, well, I need to go to bed because it's I'm gonna be just messed up in the morning. So I actually had my earphone still on. I actually went to bed with the still with the thing with the debate on, but I fell asleep immediately, and then I woke up at about 5, and he was still going on. He was still ranting. I mean, but his tone had changed. He was more intense, more angry, and I'm like, oh my god, this could go on forever. I mean, I think that if Greg had done like what he was saying at the beginning, that they're going to be
Like
um,
more format
more,
to do the
yeah, a bit
debate.
more formal, a bit more, you talk, I talk, you ask, I ask, and a bit more civilized, so to speak. Um,
Well,
if he would have gone on a civilized way, I think the debate could have gone on for twice or more as long as, well, at least for the full 6 hours. And but I think it would have gone on for longer, and it would have been a good debate. But I don't think that was possible because I did find um, Pastor Greg's contribution not very,
Yeah, he
yeah,
wasn't he
what I,
wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared for the debate.
he
He wasn't
wasn't.
prepared for the truth. He
No,
was just he just tried to not get triggered right from the beginning, because it would have just turned off so many people. Because if you just
yeah,
start shouting, right, and you could see that he just couldn't resist it, right? So
it was,
the
yeah.
the second
I found,
plan, yeah, the second plan he had in the second round was just to trigger Dean Odell. And till the
yes.
time Dean Odell could keep the patience, the debate was going. But the
Mm,
moment even Dean lost or got triggered, the debate was over. Because that's
yeah.
what he was looking for. Greg was looking for,
Mm,
because he knew that there is Austin is supposed to come up, or Dave is supposed to come up, and this could really stretch. And there
mm,
the debate would have gone a little bit more scientific, apart from the verses way, right? Because
yes.
everything was just, he was trying to put in metaphorical way everything. He didn't really, with any verses, made anyone think that what he's saying is making sense, right?
Mm,
Not even one out of all his.
no, no, he wasn't. He wasn't really debating all the points that Dean Odell had made. So it didn't make any sense. His train of thought, or his um yeah, what everything. I don't. Yeah, thing is, it didn't sound like he was, prepared, good prepared. And did he have also some scientists, some physics science person, or did
Doesn't
he have
sound like he
anyone
did.
to back his to
I think
you
that's the
know to,
reason. That's the reason he just screwed it
he
up
didn't
before
have
anybody
anyone.
else. Yeah, that's why he screwed it up, because before Austin came up, because he didn't have really somebody to debate these people,
Right.
because he cannot debate Austin or Dave, right? So the
Hmm?
only way for him out was that way,
Yeah.
and he succeeded. Hey, Keith, you're back.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
hear you, brother.
Yeah, everybody was in and out there before, so I think I got signal now. Yeah,
Cool.
it was an interesting weekend. Just to do a quick overview, Friday night we had a meetup with Tim Greer, who is, I call him the troublemaker. He's the guy who started all this between both of the pastors. He had put up $10,000 for a globe proof about 2 years ago at Greg's church, and nobody ever took him up on it. And everybody got quiet about flat Earth, and nobody had brought it up for a long time. And then, you know, I think Tim had moved away to Arkansas, but he'd still been keeping in touch with both pastors. And Greg came on his page one day on Facebook and said, "Get your money ready." And then there was a little debate on Tim's page between Dean and Greg. And according to Tim, Dean just absolutely whooped him. And Greg came back and deleted his comment, which he made all of Dean's comments get erased. And that's kind of what started it. And then they tried to sit down and have a private conversation about all this. But Tim's belief is that God, whoever that may be, did not want this to be private, but wanted it to be public. And I could see that, from the Christian perspective. So they set it up. And up until the actual moment of the debate, Dean and his team, which included Austin Whitsitt and David Weiss, Chitra, the PhD in physics, And, I was there for support as well as a few other people. And nobody knew what the format for the actual debate evening was. It had never been told to anybody how it was going to go, what was going to happen. Everybody was just kind of showing up there and to see how it was going to go. But Friday night we had a meetup. He had a room that was going to hold about 80 people, but they had to open the room and double it. So there was about 150 people at the first meetup. I got to see and meet people who had only ever seen them on video and YouTube or Facebook, and seen their faces, heard their voices. But it was cool to meet some of those people in person, like Matt Long from Woketown. Who else was here? Yeah, well, there a bunch of people. We'll talk more about each one of them, because that was the best part for me, was the meetups. The debate, well, everybody saw it. It was not that great, but the meetups.
Nah, the meetup was great.
Yeah, the meetups and the connections made, the conversations that I had, that was worth the trip of the time and energy and money to come out here. Saturday, we had a meetup with David Weiss. I put a little video on Facebook or my YouTube. I think it was just Facebook that day, with David and I standing there and a few other people around. There was a pub that we met at, and they had told the pub about 50 people would be there, but the pub was absolutely packed. I mean, there was probably another 150 people at the pub. And everybody hung out there for a few hours. Everybody relaxed for a little bit, and then went to the debate for the main event. And I guess everybody can go watch it. I think Eddie Allen Carr probably has it posted on his channel by now, on Flat Earth Banjo USA Japan. And Eddie's accusation was that there was some kind of sabotage with Dean's microphone, that some of the audio for Dean, at least on one of the streams, whichever stream Eddie was trying to listen to or watch, the audio was not very good. So Eddie was going to clean that up and put it out there for everybody to listen to. But yeah, Gene, it was great to meet you in person. Evelyn, I saw some of the comments you made here and there on Facebook, seeing that you were watching the debate. So it was an interesting experience for me. Just to be personal, I had not been inside of a church for many, many, many years. And if it wasn't for Flat Earth and promoting the mechanical realm and such, I probably would not have come to this. But I knew the mechanical realm was just released, and we want to let as many people know about it as soon as possible. And congratulations, Vikka. 50,000 people in the first week on different channels and different platforms. That's a good start, I think. But the first night I asked everybody at the meetup. I did a little talk for about 6 minutes or so. And I said, I just gauged the audience, said, who has seen the mechanical realm already? And out of 150 people, about 20 people had already seen it. And at that point, it had only been out about 5 days. So I think we're on to something good here. It should be a good ride, a good experience for us. And I saw Dean again today after he had a service here at the hotel across the street. And I went and saw him for a few minutes. And I said, Dean, have you seen the documentary? Because as you know, he did not mention the documentary at all in his presentation. But so I asked him today, I said, have you seen the documentary? And he goes, well, I've seen about half of it. He said, I'm sorry, I wanted to see it all. I've just been so busy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, okay. I said, well, you saw the technical part. It gets better and better towards the end. So, but, we talked privately, Vikka, you and I and Gene, and pastors have a certain perspective of being the leader and protecting their sheep or protecting their flock. And that's even that.
Oh, yeah, bro.
That's
Absolutely.
That's funny to me, but overall, I'll call it a win for Flat Earth, or maybe a slam dunk for Flat Earth. I mean, the truth got out there. More and more people heard about it. More and more people are online talking about it. Some of the memes that I've already seen being created are so funny. So we can definitely call it a win for us.
So I wanna thank you, brother, for that awesome video and that awesome session you did in that conference, brother. That's awesome. And for all the support and everything you did to promote TMR and to reach till there, and that was great, brother. So, and yeah, we know the debate was just for we know what was the outcome. The real reason is that all these flat earthers even wanted to get together. That was the real energy. That was the real. Everybody knew that what you all are going to meet together and have a great time.
Yeah, I think most of the flat earthers who came are probably glad they did. I think a lot of them probably feel like me, that the debate itself was kind of disappointing, but the overall energy of everybody meeting and coming together probably has given people a renewed energy to go back home and do more, boots on the ground activism for promoting, what they would call biblical cosmology in the Christian world, what we would commonly just call flat Earth. And it's definitely going to spread. I was hoping this event would be better than it was, and that it would be like a tipping point for flat Earth. I don't think that's going to happen from this event, but who really knows? It'll take a while to see what the ripple effect will be. But as I said, I'll definitely call it good.
We have any idea how many people were watching this debate through his platforms?
I have no idea. I have not heard. I'll ask around, but I know Austin Whitsitt was streaming it live.
His pages were not working. His pages were not working.
Oh wow!
We had to see the live. We had to see the live through another YouTube channels who were.
Okay, I did not know that. I jumped on his stream and someone said they saw me on it, but that was after the whole debacle. And I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but the ending of the debate was, I don't know, anticlimactic. We did not get to hear from Austin Whitsitt, the Globe pastor. I think they both got triggered a bit, including Dean, but the Globe pastor definitely got triggered, and he said, "Turn off his mic, get out." That's how the debate ended. Turn off his mic, get out. He had nothing. His fluff or whatever it was that he was trying to use as his evidence or proof for the Globe was pathetic. It was extremely weak. It was just hoopla, like rah rah, trying to hype up his few supporters. Now that was kind of funny too. Gene, you can tell me what you think, but I bet you 75% of the crowd, and there had to be at least 1,000 people there, I would guess. The room was set up to hold about 1,200, and most of the chairs were full. So I'm guessing. Yeah. I was guessing there was about 1,000 people there, and I bet you 750 of them were flat earthers, and maybe 250 of them were for the Globe.
Bro,
Yes,
we had the crowd there, Keith. I was really happy to see that. As it was going on, we made more noise and cheering. And when Greg was talking, you could see how little amount of people he had there, and it was really cool to watch. It was very surprising to see that only small portion of his crowd got up, and he was playing into the heartstrings of these people with that, waving his hands in the air and getting all theatrical with all his, with his verbal stunts and his stage antics. That's what he was doing. He was Jim and Tammy Faye Baker up there at that moment. He was the two of them screaming and whooping and hollering and what he does up there, and he did. He lost the debate, and he threw a hissy fit. And there's no way that guy wanted Dave Weiss and Austin Whitsitt to come anywhere near that stage. And Keith, I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, when we all got thrown out, our crowd got up and left and turned away towards the stage. And what happened was just before that, his crowd started getting up and bum rushing the stage, and they stopped when they ran into the security, and then they called the cops on us after what they were doing. So it was very ironic and that's just kind of telling of how he lost. He lost before he went in. He didn't do much homework at all. I think he went in there and completely underestimated what he was up against and didn't realize it till he was sitting there. And Keith, if you notice how he sat there while the debate started, while they were just talking, Greg Locke would look like a nervous wreck. I don't know if he sits there like that all the time, but he had the mic in one hand, the other hand was twitching away, and both his feet were kicking around at the same time. The guy looked nervous before anything even really started. It's
Yeah,
kind of cool.
a number of people asked me if I thought he was on cocaine or some drug or something, and I put out my final ever, I'll never do another one, open message to Greg Locke today. It's on my YouTube channel, Aloha from Florida. You can go watch it if you want to. It's about 8 minutes, and I just said my piece, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But Greg is not a good guy. I would never trust his version of who Jesus is or what Christianity has the potential of being. I would never follow somebody who has that kind of childish, immature attitude. I mean, we say he didn't prepare. I mean, my God, he was completely ignorant of the subject. He quoted the Netflix documentary called Behind the Curve. That's at
Right.
least 5 years old. He quoted
And a
Flat Earth
mess.
Society saying that there's an upward acceleration that we believe in, and none of us believe in that. He did not know that Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition. So someone
Oh, I
asked
missed that one.
yeah, someone asked me today. He said, do you think that he just hired somebody to do a little bit of research for him, and they really failed him? I said, I don't know, but if he did, they certainly did fail him because he had nothing. I mean, you guys, everybody who hasn't seen the debate, go watch it if you're willing, and just see or listen to what Dean said. Dean laid out some good points. Dean was a little bit slow, his presentation was a little long in my opinion. It would have been much better if Austin and David and Chitra would have shared for 15 or 20 minutes each, and same with Dean, 15 or 20 minutes. The energy would have flowed better. It would not have been as stagnant or slow. But in the
Yeah, it
end,
would have broke it up a little, right?
yeah. But in the end, Dean did a good job. He did as best he could for who he is, and it was pastor against pastor, So they wanted to try to keep it based on the scriptures. And Dean, at some point at the end, Dean said, "I gave way more Bible than you did," and he did. And Greg did
Yeah.
not try to address it, hardly any of what Dean laid out. He tried to. Well, what he did is he misrepresented two verses in the book of Psalms and tried to say because we believe there's a firmament that we are limiting the mercy of God, and the Bible says that you cannot limit the mercy of God. So that proves that the earth is a globe. I mean, his proof is was a very weak belief or opinion, and that was it. He had zero science. He did, and
Nothing.
Dean must have given 50 or 60 verses. Um, the Globe pastor was trying to take issue with a list that we've seen floating around, the 200 verses that prove flat earth or something. And the guy who made that list is not, I don't know. A lot of people don't use that list because they don't agree with all of those verses. So the Globe pastor was coming against Dean and everybody else saying, this is the list you use. And Dean got up and said, no, I have never used that list. I've never posted it because I don't agree with it. So if you have a problem with that guy's list of his scriptures, maybe you should go debate him, but you're here to debate me. So at that point, Greg offered Dean to come back up and give a rebuttal, and you can watch the mess. I mean, Gene, you call it a dumpster fire. That's a nice way of saying it was a shit show. Excuse my French, but it was like it was. And my wife, I sent her the thing, the last 6 minutes of it, and she's like, that was like two little children fighting. It was like two, and we have little children, so she knows. It was like two little kids fighting, and I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Dean Odell and say he did a pretty good job controlling himself and trying to be the bigger man there. But I don't even know how I would have reacted if I had been interrupted almost every time I'm trying to give a point or give a rebuttal. If I had been not only interrupted, but been put down or had been insulted. And the Globe pastor, Greg Locke, he was very insulting throughout his entire, 1 hour and 15-minute presentation that he gave. He was very insulting, and he has been. Anybody who has watched his meltdowns over the last month will hear insult after insult after insult. That's not spirituality. That's not Jesus. That's not Christ. That's not a higher power. That's none of that. That is ignorant, immature, and very arrogant. And anybody who is really trying to walk a path of seeking and finding the truth can see it for exactly what it is. And I think they will stay far away from that.
Oh yeah, he wasn't prepared. Like research wise, he wasn't prepared at all. Energy wise, he was prepared, as you said. Maybe he was on to something because he was trying to not get triggered to control himself, but he couldn't because it looks like he was on to something. So I really like that part also because in your video today you mentioned about flatten the curve, right? They speak about behind the curve, and then you said go and look at flatten the curve. So the reason the documentary is called flatten the curve is for that reason, because I had foreseen this years before that it's gonna be used against, so behind the curve, so to be not so far away to find the real documentary. That's why it's called flatten the curve, right? For the same reason, and you put it out today in that video, so that was one of the reason. for calling it flatten the curve.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised because early on in the debate, Greg brought up the point that there is no commercial pilots who believe in flat Earth, which shows his ignorance. I mean, Eddie Allen Carr has a video of almost 3 hours of pilots saying, "Yeah, we know the Earth is flat." But I was surprised that Dean did not know or understand that the power of flatten the curve, and he didn't mention that. So I put that out in my video today. That instead of behind the curve, which was a hit piece on flat Earth that was cut and edited to try and make flat Earthers look bad on purpose, go watch Flatten the Curve and listen to the pilots and the professionals who work with our flat and stationary realm on their jobs every day of their life, and listen to what they have to say. Not a Netflix documentary that is several years old. And the points that people try to pull out of that documentary and prove that flat earthers don't know what they're talking about or prove the globe, those points were edited, and they did not play the entire interview with Bob Nodal. They did not play the entire interview with Jaron. Jaron's channel also streamed the event last night. I heard he had a lot of people watching it on Jaronism on YouTube. So he might still have the debate up there. But his lack of preparation was noticeable. His immaturity was noticeable. I think you guys are right. I don't think he had anybody else that he could call on. So he had, by the time the dumpster fire happened, he had already clearly lost the debate. But if Austin Whitsitt would have gotten up there, he would have been completely destroyed. If David Weiss had gotten up there for any kind of a Q&A with the crowd, he would have been completely destroyed. So he did what he had to do, and he showed himself. And he, like I said, he yelled. He said, "Turn his mic off and get out." I mean, that was about as immature and childish as a thing as I have ever seen in the world of Christianity.
Yeah, he stomped his feet and ran away. Did you hear Keith at the end? He also said, if there's any of my followers out here who don't understand that you live on a globe, don't come back. That's what he told his people.
Yeah, there's more than just that. And I think I told you guys today privately, but I'll tell you a couple things about this. The security guys that were out back, they were all strapped to the hilt with all kinds of guns. One almost carrying an AR-15, it looked like, and
bulletproof vests.
Yeah, bulletproof vests and such. And there was, I don't know, how many was there, Isaac? Maybe 5 or 6.
I thought there was about 10 because they were all scattered around. You didn't see them all in one place.
Yeah, Isaac said there was probably closer to 15 of them. My son was there. He wasn't feeling well. And so, the security guards noticed that and sat him down. They gave him some food and water, and they were awesome. They were really good. They were cool and they were calm. And I spent most of my time right outside the tent at the door so I could still see the screens and hear everything going on. But I hung out with the security guards for most of the event. Now, one of the security guards, his name is Micah. And when I shared this on my video earlier, I wasn't sure about it, but after I went to Dean's service today, I found out for sure it did happen. Micah is one of the members of Greg Locke's church who is a flat earther. He had several people. That's why this happened, because so many people in his church were asking him, what about flat earth? What about flat earth? And Micah was one of the flat earthers. Well, after the debate and after he had his temper tantrum and lost, he fired Micah, who was the head of security for his entire team. So not only did he lose, he lashed out at one of the flat earthers in his church by firing them immediately after the event ended. So a cool thing today, and this is one of the cool parts of Christianity, in my opinion. I've seen it many times, the generosity of just average, construction workers, nurses, whatever, their hearts to be generous. Tim said, "Hey, Micah's a friend of mine. Can we take up an offering and just give it to Micah because he lost his job last night?" So they passed a cowboy hat around here in Nashville, and they it just started filling up with cash, and it was overflowing with cash by the time it went around the room.
Wow.
I'm guessing there was probably another 150 people at Dean's little service here at the Marriott today. And and then Tim got up and shared his testimony. He's like ex-mafia gangster type guy. He was in all kinds of crazy stuff. But he at the end he said, "Hey, did you count the money?" It was like $2,175 or something around there. And they were just going to take all that cash and give it to Micah, as a God bless you. Here you go. Hopefully this will help buffer until you find your next job or something. But I thought that was really cool. I thought it was very uncool for Greg to take a man who had actually moved to this area to take this job and to go to his church and to fire him for with absolutely zero notice, most what appears to be just because he is a flat earther.
Completely heartless.
Oh yeah, and totally heartful of the flat earthers, right? Who were there to collaborate and help the guy because Greg he paid with this guy's job, right? We don't know if you have kids and this and family, but this is just because of having a different for sure. So all the ones he had there need, could be psychopaths to follow this guy and work for him there.
Yeah, now
The
here's my
show they put on, yeah. Go ahead.
here's my opinion. In fact, I made one post I think yesterday of different flat Earth T-shirts that I saw at the event, which were cool. I just put like a collection of T-shirts on my Facebook, and one of them, which I didn't post because I wasn't sure if he was for Greg or for Dean or whatever, but his shirt said lions, not sheep.
I saw
And
that.
here's a perspective for me is that in Christianity, a pastor is kind of called a shepherd, and the people are called his flock. So that implies that the people are sheep. But if you're going to take Bible, the Bible says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the way you renew your mind is by seeking and finding truth. And as as we know here in the on the podcast, when we found this truth of flat Earth, it did give us more courage. And so I think the transformation that Scripture talks about as you seek and find truth, and you're transformed by your mind to being renewed by the truth, is you stop being a sheep and you start being a lion. And that's not something that's really taught in Christianity very much because the pastors want their flock. They want their sheep. And in my opinion, pastors like Greg fleece the sheep so that they can live, high on the hog. And meanwhile, their congregation, most of them, the overwhelming majority of them are living, paycheck to paycheck. They're living month to month and not doing very well. But according to Google, if it can be trusted, Greg is worth $129 million. So how did a pastor preaching truth about the kingdom of God, how did he accumulate $129 million if he didn't fleece a whole bunch of sheep, people who don't know the truth, people who have not renewed their minds and been transformed into a lion? I think, I've seen Greg wearing, I heard that he's a Leo. I saw him wearing a shirt with a big lion on it.
Yeah,
He thinks he's a
those
lion.
hot words, yeah.
Yeah, but but I don't know. In my opinion, he's a false prophet. He's a false leader. I would never follow someone like that. And I think a lot of people who used to follow, in fact, I already know from some of the comments, the number one comment on Austin Whitsitt's live stream after the debate last night was, "We have been Greg Locke supporters for the last 2 years online, and after this tonight, we are done." So I think his true colors showed, and he is going to lose a lot of his sheep who have now seen the truth and become lions, and they're going to walk away from that false leader.
Brother,
Yes,
135,
yes.
135 million, it's not coming easy because you have to keep that people in a bubble, right? And that bubble is functioning because of that lie, right? Because if you start really preaching the real truth, so maybe you don't get so many resources. And we know there are many cases like that. Go ahead, Evelyn.
No, no, I just wanted to comment that yes, um, I kept seeing those kinds of comments from Greg's followers that they were done with him because some of them also said that it was not going good. It was not going good at his church for the last couple of months. I mean, they could see, I don't know, problems or whatever. So this was the last, the last drop, so to speak, that made them just realize, no, we can't follow him anymore. So yeah, I've seen. I've been to a couple of the live streams from What's It and What's It, Witsit, need What's It, from Witsit and from Dean Odelham's ministries also on Facebook, and people are just leaving, and he and also in on the online church. He was also saying, he was also saying people just to leave, not to comment, just just leave the online church. So yes, it's I think it's yeah, it's been good for flat Earth because they've seen how he really is and what he really thinks about all flat Earth and the real the real biblical uh, I say the real biblical story, the real biblical the biblical Earth and all these flat earthers in his ministry, they I think they've been really duped with him because he's really nasty, yeah. And what I heard was that his son also this came about because his son was also asking him questions about it. So I think that made him quite angry. And if that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what I saw some people commenting about.
Yeah, the weird part also I find also because I heard saw the debate online is that whenever Dean Odell was speaking, the people were clapping, and whenever he literally Greg Locke said, "Yeah, I don't need the claps." So you could just feel that there were more people supporting Dean Odell. I don't know. I didn't knew the ratio of the division.
Yes, you could hear it. You could hear it
Exactly, and it's
in
in
the
it
room.
exactly,
The,
and it is in his own
Well,
playground, in his locality, and the
yes, in
people
his
didn't
what
own
show
happened
church.
up. Yeah, and the people didn't
when
show up. His people didn't show up.
Exactly. Wh- when I was watching the videos where he's having his meltdown, I mean his church is full. It it sounded full. So I was expecting that church to be, bursting at the seams from people wanting to come in and but but you did hear the amount of cheering and support from his own church, and it was way less than when Dean Odell was debating. He had more. You could just hear it in the background, and I'm thinking like, how many people are supporting Greg there? I mean, 20, because I couldn't hear that much clapping or cheering. So it was weird. It was weird that many of his supporters of his church of his sheep didn't turn up. That I found weird.
Yeah, because they didn't want it to get convert to flat earthers. They say maybe we avoid it totally because what could be a reason, right? Such
Hmm.
a big event of your
Yeah.
church, your pastor is gonna debate, and you wanna know, and you're gonna wanna get things cleared. You should be there, as you said. It should be jam packed till outside, and with speakers outside, people listening. No, but that wasn't the case. It was
Hmm.
flooded with flat earthers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
it was jam packed with flat earthers. And I'll tell you something I noticed being at the back door with the security most of the night. About an hour into Dean's presentation, which allegedly went about 2 hours, which was, in my opinion, definitely too long. After about an hour or hour and a half into Dean's presentation, people started getting up and leaving. And that was not the flat earthers getting up and leaving. So, over a course of about the last half hour of Dean's talk, I would imagine at least 100 people for the globe or 100 of Greg's followers just left. I don't know if the cognitive dissonance had kicked in and they just couldn't listen to any more truth or anything else that contradicted their beliefs. But by the time Greg got up there and talked, he had probably lost half of his people that were there, and there weren't that many of his people there to begin with. So that was something else that I noticed, and I don't think many people noticed it at all because they were sitting in their chairs just watching what was going on the stage. But I was in the back of the room, and that's just something that I saw that was definitely not flat earthers leaving the event. It was definitely all of Greg's people.
Yes, that's something that we didn't see in the live stream. Nobody taped that. Not even Whitsit. He was taping from the other corner, because I watched. I had to watch the debate again this afternoon because I was watching the live stream with the comments, and the people were commenting, and I'm trying to concentrate on both things, and I couldn't. So I had to listen again to the debate this afternoon, just without the comments, just my earphones on, and I I caught things that I did miss during the live. So but yes, that's something that we don't see in the live stream. Nobody swept with the camera around the room to actually show what was going on. So that would have been a bit more eye opening for people.
Well, one thing that's for sure is that Greg's Locke's version of Christianity is not, it's not mainstream Christianity. It's what is called the charismatic vein. It is the bigger churches, the more mega churches or whatever have that same kind of energy. But once churches start going into that charismatic path of the Bible or focusing on this verse and that verse and negating other ones, it's a little or maybe it's a lot on the fringe. It's not like mainstream Bible Christians of America. It's definitely on the edge. Some people might really call them, weird or strange, maybe even more so than someone being a flat earther. So he absolutely does not represent what an average Christian American would believe or behave like. He is definitely on the fringe of the far, far right.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And the funny part is also the two expeditions he speak about, the Antarctica and going to the space, is from the money from one of his guys. That he don't want to invest his money. Yeah, he wants somebody is there to invest in his expedition because anything could go wrong. So why even
Yes,
invest in that?
His argument,
rich
his
friend, his rich rancher friend, which in the comments of I don't know which live or whatever, but in the comments, one of the people suggested that the friend who has a ranch there where he lives, very close to him is Copeland. So I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, we know what he's all about then.
No,
What is this? What is his friend planting? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Keith.
not just Copeland, and that vein of Christianity is called word of faith. It used to be called people that were like name it and claim it type people, and I kind of make fun of it a little bit, and I call it blab it and grab it. They're just thinking that I don't know what they're thinking, but I came out of that. I've spoken in a bunch of those churches in the past that are in that same energy or same frequency, that same vibration, and people get stuck there. But and I've shared this on YouTube, but for the sake of the podcast, I'll share it. About 4 or 5 days ago now, in my hometown, I was in a health food store, and this little dude comes walking in, and I said, "Man, that looks like Benny Hinn." And the girl behind the counter said, "Yeah, that's him." Now, for those who don't know who Benny Hinn is, he's one of the biggest, most successful, financially wise, televangelists in America. And I said, "Well, isn't this interesting?" So Benny is coming, walking literally right behind me, 3 or 4 days before this debate's going to happen. I said, "Let's go see if Benny knows anything." So I went and I said I introduced myself, and we chatted. And I know somebody who Benny knows, and I told him to open the door for rapport. I said, Benny, I'm friends with so and so, and so that let Benny know that I knew some of the same people he knows. And I said, "Do you know Greg Locke?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I was just with Greg Locke. He's got a good heart." And I made this point Friday night that a lot of people have a good heart, but they're messed up in their head, especially if they're still believing in the globe. But I told Benny about Greg's meltdown in his sermon. I told him about Dean Odell and Dean Odell's book. And the funny part was, I said, "Yeah, Greg had a meltdown about flat Earth," and Benny said, "Flat Earth, flat Earth. What's flat Earth?" So he was either playing dumb or he really was dumb about the subject of flat Earth. And there was a young guy there, maybe in his mid-20s, early 30s, big, even bigger than me, and I'm a big guy. And maybe he looked like maybe he was a bodyguard for Benny. And he told him, he said, "Well, Benny, some people believe the Earth is flat and not round." And Benny said, okay.
Acting surprised.
Yeah, but I mean, Benny and Copeland are probably the two biggest, most financially successful, televangelists that there are. I mean, they have been known for very extravagant lifestyles, and I don't have any problem with anybody making money at all. I've promoted that, and I wrote a book on it myself. But I do have a problem with people who called themselves a pastor or a shepherd trying to help people get closer to God, living very high on the hog while most of their congregation are literally struggling week to week, month to month, and they just continue to grow their own personal wealth by preaching about the scriptures. I think there's something wrong with that. I think it's evil. It's not something I would be part of, and I don't have any
Not
problem.
community.
Yeah, and what Tim said today, he said that Tim is one of the few people that he can say whatever he wants to say, and he doesn't have to worry about it affecting his income. See, Greg Locke is probably thinking, "Hey, I'm making a bunch of money here from this Christian gig that I've got. If I go to Flat Earth, I might lose my people." And he's maybe refusing to look at the truth, thinking that it's going to affect his bottom line. That's wrong. That's evil, in my opinion. And maybe that's not what he's doing, but he's certainly a false prophet or a false shepherd, a false pastor, a false leader. Whatever he is, he's not somebody that anybody should be following, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, brother, it's a bubble. They
Nah,
create a
because
bubble.
honestly, it's like it's a weird subject because they have no proof, they have no evidence. Oh, sorry guys, my Wi-Fi is coming and going.
Keep
I don't
going,
mean
G
to speak
brother.
over.
Go ahead.
All right. Um. Yeah, he's just it makes me wonder, like, 127 million dollars is, I heard that, and you know it's probably close to true. And look at the tent we were in. It was a nice tent, but the guy's worth that much money, and he's having his church in a tent. Kind of weird.
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about how these guys work their money. They have a nonprofit for the main church, and then they have some kind of a for-profit for themselves, for their speaking, for their book sales. And guys like Greg go around from church to church to church, and we rub each other's back and scratch each other's back. And he could be speaking at 2 or 3 churches every week, and every time taking up an offering from those churches for themselves. So he could be making 10 or 20 grand a week, not a month, but a week, just from offerings as a guest speaker at other churches. So that's how that world works. And fine, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But don't be telling people about how God loves them so much, and they can be free and they can be successful, while you're padding your pockets and letting the people that are sitting in the pews struggle. That it just doesn't add up. It doesn't compute. And like I said, in my opinion, it's evil.
Yeah, no one's wanna follow a preacher who's there in the outback with a small church telling the truth. Everybody wants to belong to a organization or collective which reflects power, which reflects authority, which reflects it's a way of life, which reflects the way of seeing the world, right? So it's just so much of that stuck in there, including the consumerism in there. So it's just create that bubble of, ego, we could say, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you something funny about another guy who he kind of flows in that vein, but he messed up one day. He was on one of the what do they call it? What do they call it when they're raising money on TV on the Christian channels? They're trying to
like a Jerry Lewis marathon.
yeah, some kind of like a yeah
An
marathon.
open day.
What's it called?
Where I come from, they call it an open day.
Yeah, no, it's not an open day here, but anyway, maybe it's just called a telethon, where they're the
Yeah.
Christian TV is just trying to raise money for this purpose or that purpose and getting people to call in and give and
Yeah.
making a big show of it. And there's this one pastor, and he's still kind of in that vein, but he messed up one time, and he wasn't invited back for quite a while because at the time he was trying to get more fit physically, trying to get in shape and be healthy. And somehow he slipped up and he said, I don't listen to these preachers who don't know what they're talking about, and these people who want to tell me how to overcome the devil, and they're 300 pounds and they can't even overcome ice cream. But then the camera goes down the line, and several of the pastors sitting there getting ready to speak were very large men. So
Oh, whoa.
Ouch.
he messed up, but what he said was true. How are you going to listen to somebody tell you how to overcome the devil and you can't overcome your own appetite? So the Vika, you just said people are interested in power, they're interested in authority, and rightfully so. I think we're created that way. But a lot of what is put forth as power and authority in different churches or religions, even Catholicism, is not power. It's not authority. It's just a show. The world is a stage, and a lot of the religious leaders are just as guilty as the political leaders of fleecing the sheep and using things for their own personal gain.
Keith,
Oh,
you just pointed out that the invisible separation that doesn't exist between church and religion, to make believe division between the two. There's no division between church and state. They're one unit.
Yep, and that's why churches get a tax write-off from the government,
Yeah.
because the churches are doing something that the government wants them to do. The government rewards behavior that they want to see people repeat. So they give these churches tax breaks. And in my opinion, it's so that people will stay submissive and people will keep looking outside of themselves, excuse me, for some form of authority instead of looking within.
yeah, because it's an illusion, bro. It's an illusion. So they are all fall for the illusion. That's why is this debate too, in a way, because everyone is a victim of that play that everyone is playing here, right? Everyone. That's why it is like this. It's just so obvious and clear, but it's not going to be seen by many, right?
No, because you know why? It's not announced on the news. It's not shown in TV. So the reality people live, if they're not watching it somewhere else, they don't even understand it.
Oh, bro, one of the memes going around is Greg standing there with his microphone saying, when Jesus comes back, we're all going to see him on our smartphones. That's what the Bible means. Everybody says every
Oh
eye will
yeah,
see him.
that was funny. Yeah, that's
Bro,
really
That's
speaking of
great.
technology.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
the
Oh
world doesn't have
my.
Ooh.
Greg. Yeah, there's gonna be a ripple effect that's gonna definitely be quite humorous with the memes coming out.
And
But
what he said about the moon. No, it's
Not a
not
light.
giving its own light. It's reflecting the sunlight. And I'm like, it's in the Bible. Even I know that.
That's right in our faces, right every day.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I'm like, and he's supposed to be a pastor. He's supposed to know the Bible. He's supposed to know these kinds of, versus, I
No,
mean,
well, you know what though, Evelyn? He wants to pick and choose his metaphors that he uses as metaphors, and he
yeah,
chooses ones to use for reality.
yeah.
He's wishy washy with it. He don't know.
Well, that's part of that vein of Christianity, and I don't want to. And I know already it's too late. I've already come across as bashing the man, but I think he deserves a little bit of what he's getting with this backlash
Oh,
from.
he deserves a bashing.
Yeah.
Just
So,
go on.
well,
Bash away.
but that what you just said, Gene, is that this scripture. Well, that's metaphor. Oh, this scripture. Oh, that's literal. Oh, so
Right.
you're the authority on that. Someone else can't disagree with you that what you're saying is literal might be metaphor, and
Mm.
what you're saying is metaphor might be literal. You get to decide what's true and what's false.
Yeah, right.
And
It,
Yeah,
it, sound, it sounds like
yeah,
science. It works today, but if there's better science tomorrow, we'll use that instead.
yeah. He said he did say the Bible is metaphorical unless unless it says to take it literal, and it's it's actually the other way around. It's literal unless you have to take it metaphorically, because or as a simile, because it says something is as, like, the firmament is as a tent, that is a simile. That's so so he's twisting everything around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the example of the face for the ball, it
Yeah,
was funny things.
yeah, being
when
very
he started
flexible and
about
creative with
yeah
it.
when he started about the face on the ball, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
I think a
what
lot.
what is he what is he referring to in the Bible? Because what he was what he was uh,
What did he
commenting
smoke?
on,
Yeah,
I'm
this
like,
was the thing.
where did he get that from?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were asking the same thing. Ellen, what is he talking about? Because he
Yeah,
certainly wasn't making any sense on
No,
the shape of the earth in
no.
biblical cosmology. I mean, he was not making any sense at all. He was trying to hype up his few remaining followers that were still sitting there, and
exactly.
and that wasn't working for him. So he got mad and interrupted Dean. He have you noticed you never heard anything else about the $30,000 that he put up?
Oh, of course not.
You didn't hear anything about it last night. He became a liar when he didn't let the debate finish and let the people decide who won the debate. He cut it
Mm,
off, and once again, for anybody just tuning into the podcast now, the way it ended was him saying, "Turn his microphone off, get out." I mean, that was a little child, like you had just
whoa.
taken candy from a baby.
Yes.
Oh yeah, if the ratio of the people of globers and flat earthers was bigger, the flat earthers, he knew what is going to be the result. So he couldn't make this debate go till the end, right? As I said, if Dean would have just hold it on for another 10 minutes, because as I mentioned, the flat earthers were invited there. When you are invited to a place, right, you try to be in, as respectful to the person who invited you, because it's his home, right?
Mm,
And that he has problem of getting triggered and going in preacher mode and making people emotional. So this could have been, if the whole team of flat earthers who weren't prepared should have taken that into the strategy and worked against it instead of falling for it.
mm,
Because if it was a little bit more strategic there, the outcome would have been the end, and the outcome would have been different. And I think maybe Austin would have been up there, and maybe even after Dave, and would have flown in a different way. I think that's my
mm.
opinion, that just a bit more, Dean would have just hanged on. He did a great job all the time, because if he would have
Yes.
pitched from the moment, this wouldn't have worked out at all. He did a great job with his presentation. And yeah, I also agree with Keith that he could have given other guys a little minutes would have been enough, or 3 minutes, right? To
Yeah,
just keep it a bit
he
of
was
rolling.
going
Yeah.
to. He was going to, because when he
Yeah,
did
but it was
his
already more than
his
4 hours.
rebuttal, yeah, when
Yeah,
he
but
was gonna busy with his rebuttal, he just said, yeah, we're gonna get Witsit here and Dave, and he was gonna go on with his rebuttal, and then it
Ye-
just
ye-
turned really
yeah, but
ugly.
this
Poof.
could have been done without saying, right?
Yes.
He could have just said, okay, he tried to calm the situation down and just say,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get, instead of announcing and being there, continuing that it's not working out because it's just bouncing too much, it's getting
Mm,
aggressive. So
yeah.
the best way would have been just like, okay, right, I'm just gonna pass on, like without getting pissed, triggered, anything, just pass the mic, and to
Yeah.
leave him without any option to do
Yeah.
a reaction. There's a many strategy
Mm,
way for this kind of. I thought the team would have been much more prepared psychologically for this debate, because apart from the verses and all the investigation and everything, the more important thing was here to handle this guy.
mm. Especially knowing how he preaches in his church. I mean, it is all
Exactly.
shouting, very
Exactly.
aggressive, very I know, arrogant, and I d- I didn't like his. I don't like preachers that preach in that manner. That's why I take more to the kind of people that like Dean Odell. He's conversing, his conversation, and he's putting across points, and he's explaining, and he's patient. So that attracts people.
Exactly. And if it were continued a bit more, whatever
Mm,
was the outcome, it doesn't matter who wins. The
no.
personality of the person,
Mm,
the way to handle things is what shows if the person is in the right north, right?
yeah.
Hey guys, you want to know something?
Yes.
you know, there's a video out. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long where it's about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says Neil deGrasse. I think it's titled Neil deGrasse Tyson shuts down flat earthers. It's on YouTube, and he explains in this video some really lame reasons why he won't debate a flat earther, because he has the objective truth. And if someone more charismatic comes in and can win the crowd over without the objective truth, with some nonsense, everything that's not scientifically backed by him, so he's afraid to lose the debate, basically. So
Mm,
that's what happened here. He was afraid to lose, and it showed.
mm,
There's no way he could have survived up there, because they have nothing to back themselves up with, guys. So really, they lost the debate.
Well, changing gears a little bit, going back to some of the
He
people.
could have had Neil deGrasse Tyson up there.
Oh, yeah. 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 Go ahead, Keith. What were you saying, brother?
I think,
About the people?
yeah, changing gears a little bit. I mean, we also got to hook up with Kevin Bobick, which was cool to meet him in person. And I had breakfast with him yesterday and saw him today and chatted a little bit. He's doing well. It was good to see him again. Also, who I met a couple times was Trey Smith, and he's got a big following on YouTube. I think his channel is God in a Nutshell, and he does all kinds of things from giants to Nephilim to dinosaurs to aliens. He's got a cool channel, and I had never met him. I had barely even seen any of his videos, but I'd heard of him. But it was cool to meet him and get to know him just a little bit, and to see that someone else with such a large following on YouTube is at a flat Earth event. So to my knowledge, he's never come out as a flat earther on any of his videos, but he's definitely been in maybe the alternative side of history. I mean, the more biblical side of history. I did watch one of his videos about a week ago, and he was I think he was in the America Southwest, where there's these petroglyphs, and these petroglyphs have like what looks like dinosaurs carved into them, and he's making fun of the mainstream science community because they say, well, we know that dinosaurs were 12 billion years ago, and man wasn't on the earth with dinosaurs then, and so that must have been aliens that carved those humans and dinosaurs on the rocks just to mess with humanity. So yeah. And it's kind of the same thing with us with the Antikythera mechanism. Oh well, aliens must have given that to the Greeks. I mean, the mainstream pseudoscience and the mainstream pseudo history that can't grasp that maybe they're wrong about their timelines, or maybe they're wrong about their technologies of the past. They want to point to aliens. So I just thought that he was dealing with some of the same stuff with the petroglyphs that we dealt with the Antikythera mechanism of the mainstream pseudoscience community wanting to point to, oh, maybe it was aliens that did that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's good that you brought up the Antikythera mechanism. Before we get that, Gene, brother, you also met Trey, right? And you are familiar with his work. Uh, uh, what
Yeah.
happened? And yeah, tell us, brother.
Oh, bro. I'm a big fan of Trey for years now. And if you guys have never seen his first video, which is called "The Theory of Everything," you're absolutely missing out on 3 hours of video genius, brilliant stuff, guys. It's called "The Theory of Everything," and I've posted it many times through the years, and it's the first hour. He shreds evolution like you might have never heard before. He does such a nice job, and he's definitely helped me with how to understand and speak about how what evolution and how is or is called and how it's wrong and all the details. So yeah, Trey got there, and I was bugging out, and I'm waiting to. He's surrounded by a crowd. I'm kind of hovering around. I don't know if he was hanging or leaving, so I really wanted to get to meet him. And I walked over to a woman, and I'm like, "Do you know who that is?" She's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "That your friend?" She said, "I'm his wife." And I'm like, "Oh, how nice to meet you. How are you?" She's like, "Oh, nice to meet you too. Do you want to meet him?" I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Yeah. I'm like a big fan. I went into, a little bit of this and that because he was still busy over there. So ended up that she went, well, after she saw the crowd around him die down a bit, she went over and grabbed him and brought him over to me. And I was like, "Trey, it's so great to meet you, blah, blah, blah." I went through, quick story. I went through a couple of the points he made, and he was like, "Wow, it's such an honor to meet you. I'm so happy to be here." And he starts talking to me. And when you talk to the guy, he's looking right at you. He's paying attention to what you're saying. He's concerned. He's like, he's a real brother kind of guy. He's a really nice guy. It was great to meet him. And so yeah, it was awesome. I got him on my phone now. He's that kind of guy, I guess. I could call him right now, actually. And he's one of the guys we're gonna have on the show, and I'm really looking forward to it. I asked him, would you please come on our podcast? We do this, that, and blah blah blah. My buddy did Flatten the Curve. We just did the Mechanical Realm. He's really, oh wow, interesting. But it was, honestly, I felt starstruck, and it was great to be there with all you guys. Keith, it was really good to meet you, bro. And I can't wait till we all do it again. But yeah, no, Trey is a great guy. I was happy to see. I think he's a flat earther. We ran into him after the show with a couple from Tennessee who was a part of Locke's congregation, and they jumped ship. They're like, "I can't go back there after that." And the guy's talking, and he's just like, "Well, I might be a little bit of a flat earth. I'm on the fence. I'm thinking about it." And as the conversation went on, I was with Nathan Thompson and Kevin Bobbick at the time, and my wife, and we're hanging out, and which, so the guy would say something, and we'd be like, "Oh, so you're 25% flat earther at this point." A little while later, so you're 50% flat earther at this point. You're 75. Wait, bro, you're just a flat earther. And the guy puts his head down. He's laughing because he's like, "Well, I just ain't saying it yet, kind of, you know." But it was great. He's a great guy. Really, everybody go check out The Theory of Everything. It's a really awesome 3-hour video, and the guy's got a lot of stuff. He travels the world, going to places, historically biblical places, and he's just a real interesting character. And it was great to meet him, and I can't wait to have him on the show. And I'm gonna build a relationship with the guy. I want to learn from him, and I want him to be part of this brotherhood and sisterhood that we're building together, you guys. So and it's cool because I got a lot of guys in my phone, not just on YouTube and Facebook over this weekend, and that's what I really want. I want to like lock arms with everybody, not lock arms, but like let's just forge ahead together, guys. We're gonna have differences. Fine. I don't want to talk. We can hash out some differences, but I want to try to concentrate on building what we know and what we need to learn together at this point. There's just too many things that we need to do together to concentrate on things that we don't agree on, in my opinion. Because that's common. We're not we don't know everything. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So we need to get together. And I'm not too concerned about the things that we don't agree on if they're not too compelling or life threatening or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a
Oh, yeah.
couple other guys that I've met, not famous like Trey or anything, but one of them came up to me and said, Keith, do you remember asking somebody a couple years ago if you could interview them about surveying, and because you were writing a book and about flat Earth? And I said, yeah. He said, well, that was me. That was me. You asked me like 2 years ago if you could interview me for your book about flat Earth, about surveying, and I just wasn't ready then. But with everything coming out like this, I think it's time for me to come forward and say what I know about surveying and flat Earth. So I said, bro, you are welcome to come on the podcast with us sometime, because we need to learn more about geodetic surveying and how it's not used in reality versus plane surveying and how that's used for everything in reality. And but that's what I think this event is going to do for a lot of people, is push them over the edge to say, hey, I need to come out of the closet and start telling my friends and family and anybody who will listen about the truth that I've discovered of the Earth being flat and stationary, and not this spinning wet rock in outer space that we were all lied to about. So it was cool to meet him. I don't remember his name. Hopefully he'll reach back out soon. Another person I met is someone I have engaged with a lot of times on Facebook. His name is Ryan Pierce. And when we were landing the plane, he messaged me on Facebook and said, hey, have y'all landed yet? And I said, no. I said, we're just landing now. He goes, do you need a ride? I said, bro, I would love a ride. So, I got to meet someone else to face that I've been talking to about flat Earth on Facebook for at least 3 years now. And it was cool to get to know him and his wife a little bit personally. They drove down like 12 hours from Wisconsin, where they live.
Wow.
And but I'll tell you part of his story, because I think this is part of something that is kind of a trend, or something that people are interested in. I'm even interested in this. Several years ago, he bought some land up in Wisconsin. He built his house out of storage containers, like 2 big storage containers. He built like a big A-frame on top of the house with pallets. And he's completely 100% debt free, doesn't owe anybody a dime for anything. He just does odd jobs here and there for construction and things for when he needs to make money. And on his land now that he has, his older daughter, she has built her own little tiny home. And she's, I think, 22. He's got a younger daughter who's 17, who has just started working on building her tiny home on the land or the property there. So, but he's, kind of, he's gotten to a place of freedom in his life. And I think that's a trend that a lot of flat earthers are into, that, hey, we see this system, or with this matrix, this slave system that we live in, that at every turn it's trying to take money from you or get you in debt or something. And there's more and more people that are coming to the truth that this system is like, especially this lie of the American dream, which after you pursue it for a long time, you realize that's really just a nightmare. I mean, you're not really getting ahead trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to get a bigger place or a better place or a more expensive car. So it's not freedom, it's bondage. So I think the message of truth that is related to flat earth is more and more freedom that we're trying to achieve in our lives. And I think part of that is even like you, Vika, living off grid, learning how to do that, and maybe even be an example to others of that. Just hear people hearing that you live off grid and unplugged a little bit more from the matrix. I think that's part of this journey that all of us are on.
Oh yeah, brother, absolutely. I almost a decade
Anyway, it was cool to
I'm
meet a couple guys
living
in
already.
person that I've been talking to for a while.
Exactly, brother. So it's been a decade that I've been living off grid. So, and before that decade, I was already
Are y'all
building it
there?
up in me, building it up in me for living off grid. And now it's already that long time. You guys hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear both of you guys.
Yeah,
Can you
All
hear
right.
me, Vika?
I can hear
Yeah,
you
yeah,
now,
I
Gene. I
hear.
didn't hear
All right.
anybody for
Yes,
a
we're
while.
all good.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm having issues here too, guys. I don't know, something in the air.
Cool. So to apply, right?
Greg
So
Locke
I
turned off our
already
microphones.
foreseen I've already foreseen this, right? That this consumerism, this living in the rat race,
Yeah, I
for
can't
the
hear Vika yet. I
illusion.
can see the ring around his picture like he's talking, but I can't hear him.
Hello, check.
I got you guys both. Again, there's something in the air, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
hear
can hear
you,
you fine.
Gene.
All right. Yeah, Keith's having an issue like I was having before. Can't
And
hear
you
anything.
you hear me now,
Yeah, I
Evelyn?
hear.
Yes, yes, I can hear all of you.
Keith, what's up, bro?
All right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
I can
It's
hear. I can hear Gene. I can hear Evelyn. I just can't hear Vika.
so strange.
Cool. Cool. So this is the thing. They want everybody to live in this.
Yeah, like I said, I can see the little circle going around his picture like he's talking, but I cannot hear his voice at all.
Keith, try clicking in and out again if you can.
All right.
Maybe
So
that'll work, guys.
as long as you are living in that illusion of rat race of consumerism and not think how to really get the freedom, because living off grid, growing your own food, doing everything DIY, what it does, it takes that brick out of the system. That's what it does, right? And they have made sure that the people don't do that. They make it so much difficult for the people to get that independence of
Oh
even
yeah,
collecting your rainwater or growing your own food or keeping your own seeds or canning your own stuff or whatever, right? For sure in
yeah.
the near future, as we said, there won't be even letting people buy land and do these kind of things.
You know, Wavika, we don't buy land here. You don't own the land your house is sitting on in America. You're basically renting it with glorified renters, and that's all that is because you pay tax for it till you die, and they take everything back from you.
Yeah,
So,
Oh
that's
yeah,
also the
nobody
case
owns
here.
nothing. Yeah,
yeah,
nobody can own, because you could have the rights to live till you live or your next generation. Here they make it
right.
sure you have to pay your how you say herency tax. The people don't take
Yeah,
that heri- herency, because it's so freaking expensive to
it's like
just
thirty-five
to get
percent or
from your.
something
Exactly, who the hell.
right off the
They
bat.
want they want to make it 49% here in Holland.
Oh, yeah, they probably want to make it 100% in America.
Oh,
Jokes. Well, this is another part of the reason why, because it is more than flat Earth. It is the system that we're being ground into the ground with. And you know, a lot of people are willing to listen these days, and it's great. A lot of doors are open for people to have conversations with these types of subjects and this kind of content. Where, you know, like 10 to 20 years ago, you couldn't say chemtrails 20 years ago. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the resources are really free. We were born, this earth is for us, but they made sure that it's not for us. They make us work. That's why this heresy tax is that the next generation just can just take it, all the wealth and all this tax money for free, and live for, as a king for the next generation, only for them, right?
yeah,
Only for the diplomats, only for the elites, right? For sure,
yeah,
they're not paying anything for this exchange for their own grandkids or kids, right? So they're just making sure that it just goes much more difficult for the generations to come.
yeah. It's a real shame. I don't know exactly, but I'll throw out. 150 years ago, from what I understand, there was no question about. When I died, my son was getting my house and my land, and there was just no question about it. There was no taxes and everything like they have now. So all these things, they just chip away. While the fire's over there, and we're looking at the fire, they're chipping away at behind you, causing a ruckus over here. Is a detention, an attention deterrent. So while we're looking there, they're doing something behind you over there, and it's just on and on. False flags are real, but they're being done. They're orchestrated, and they have multiple reasons. Everything you see that happens, like all these events, these things that are going on these days, there's layers and layers to them. It's not just one thing, because if they fail at one thing, it was useless. So they shoot for 20 things, and if they get 10 of them, they'd be happy. They shoot, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you buy something, you pay tax. You sell something, you pay tax. You work, you pay tax, and after that you pay tax. It's crazy stuff. They're making people go crazy, right?
Yeah,
And today's age is crazy. You could make few thousands per month, and it's not going to be enough. So what are we heading for, right? And the problem is people are not having the right information, right? Thing
all
like
right.
flat earth, as we spoke about, things like flat earth opens many doors in many aspects, spiritually, physically, in community wise, things
Yeah,
change a lot. You apply it to your life, right? In decision making and being conscious, right?
yep. You do. I was telling people this weekend, getting into flat Earth, it really it let go of problems that I didn't even know I had. Kind of, it just felt this lighter feeling, and I say it a lot. I'll say it all the time too. This community is really great. A lot of really cool people here. I keep just saying, I met a few Facebook friends. That was a really nice surprise. You know.
Oh yeah, and you told us, Keith, that even FE Nation you met, right?
Yeah. Carl was a really cool guy.
Yeah.
Great to have him on the show again. He's planning on doing the next total solar eclipse in April of next year,
Yeah.
and trying to be in a place where he's actually under totality and filming it. But he's got some great observations that he has filmed personally. It's not from NASA, it's not from a university, it's his own research. So he'll be great to have on the show at some point and hear what he thinks and what he's learned from his own observations.
Oh yeah. Carl's probably here right now. How are you, Carl? I bet you Brian's here. I know Dr. Frankenstein's out there. I was hoping that Dr. Frankenstein lived close enough to over there. He's a personal friend of mine, and he was on Facebook years ago, and he was one of the first strangers that I took on as a friend, Because at first I was like, no, 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 no. I'm not friending anybody I don't know. But he was one of the first, and he ended up being a really good guy. He would have. He, I haven't gotten in touch with him yet, but I'm sure he'll enjoy what happened over the weekend. And but he just wasn't close enough. You know, a lot of great people were there. You know, I met Kevin, Nathan, David, Trey, Matt, Keith. It was endless. It really was, and I would encourage anybody to definitely try to make the trip next time. If it's anywhere close to being a reality, make it happen, guys. You know, this trip was so much more than I was expecting.
There's another. I'll put it out there now just to put some seeds in the ground. But another guy I met, his name's Alex. I forget his last name, but he's going to be putting on a. It's not solely flat Earth, but he's going to put on a conference also in April in Tampa, Florida, somewhere. I think it's Truth and Freedom Conference, and that might even be the website. I'm not sure. It might be truthandfreedomconference.com. But it's going to be like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday event. He was telling me about it, asking if I might be part of it somehow. The first day is just private, and it's allegedly only for pastors, where pastors can come in privately, have a conversation, ask questions. The second day, Austin Whitsitt will be speaking, and it'll be all about biblical cosmology. And then the third day, I think, is going to be more about like patriotism and God and maybe politics or something. I don't know. Of course, I'm not into that personally, but it's another event that this guy, he's planning 4 months out already at least, and it sounded like he's already been working on it, of some kind of a flat Earth event. So I want to support that and put that out there. But I believe it was called Truth and Freedom Conference. And I'll be looking more into that. When I learn more about it, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah, Keith, definitely let us know. Keep us posted on that. And here's something, guys. You know, I'm not etching this in stone, but you know, me, Keith, and Nathan were talking about maybe trying to do something, and it was brief, but we touched on how what a great time this was, and maybe if the three of us got together and did this, that, and the other thing, maybe we could try that. So you know, we're throwing a lot of stuff in the air. So that's what happened. I'm not saying it's coming or anything, but it's on the table somewhere. So
Well,
definitely.
there's probably nobody that has been to more flat Earth events than David Weiss, I would imagine. And he just kept walking around saying, hey, would you look at this? Look at this. Look at all these people. Look at this. This is awesome. This is awesome. Even today, he was at Dean's church service at the Marriott, and that room was packed. I mean, it wasn't a ton of people, but I bet you it was at least 150 people in that little room. And David Weiss is there. Look at this. This is awesome. Would you look at this? David's been to a lot of events, but I mean, that is something I would see on the horizon for flat Earth. I mean, I would love to get to a place in the Daytona Beach, Florida area where I'm hosting an annual event for flat Earth, for education and just for, like we just get together, just meet people face to face.
Yeah.
Only known online for years.
And you know what? I bet you if we could get something cohesive going with the crowd we got, and I bet you a lot of people show up just for curiosity reasons.
Oh yeah, this is what it happens, right? It's unpredictable, right? Everything is just happening as it flows, right? So you guys wouldn't have predicted whom you would have met and what would have been outcome, but it's coming out, right? So it's great, and what is going to come in the future because of that. So that's the best part about connecting with people in real life after knowing them to the social media, right? uh, I think it's one of the best feeling that you met somebody online and you want to really in physically you meet them. There's another connection, right? So, and things evolve from there, things click with energy with some people, and amazing stuff happens that even nobody can predict. So, and
So
the
true.
best part is that we all know that what we have in common, right? And that's the flat earth. That's what connects all of us. And this energy is going to be anywhere in the world when all the flat earthers get together and things happen, right? So
Oh
yeah, I'm
yeah.
really glad that this trip was totally worth it for you guys, right?
Oh, totally worth it, bro. You know, so many things got barriers got crossed for me. You know, I flew on a plane. Man, I passed up a lot of trips through the years because I wouldn't fly. I'm like, nope, I'm not going. Have fun. And yeah, the people, it was a really, really nice surprise to meet some of the Facebook friends that I've met through the years that that I wasn't sure were going. I had no idea some of these guys were going, you know? People from Boston, Maine, uh, was it North Carolina? Like all over the place.
Maybe if it was pre-planned from a long time, maybe the people wouldn't have showed up because it was just so instant decision. So I think many were there
Mhm.
because it was an instant decision. So everybody just got there without,
Right. That's what
and they're
happened with me,
there.
man.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it happened for me. I was like, wait a minute. What's it going to take to drive there? 26 hours in 3 or 4 days. It was just out of the question. So I looked into flights and they weren't horribly expensive. And we were like, yeah, let's go. We had an anniversary to celebrate and it was just so cool. It really was.
Yeah, I was not going to come to this at all. I mean, that's you guys saw
Right.
that little video that I put out of my True Earth journey, and I gave that to Dean and David. I said, look, if y'all want to play this from the stage, go for it, but I'm not coming. Um, but Dave said, like, Keith, you really need to be there. Dean said, Keith, I'd love for you to be there. Tim said, Keith, come support me. I want you to be there. So I had several people, and then just some of my Facebook friends that I've known for years saying, are you going to be there? I'm going to be there. I'm going to be driving all these hours. And so after time and time and time again, people asked me, I said, okay, I'll go. So I wasn't even sure coming out. I was not sure if I was making the right decision. But once I got here and the meetup Friday night, the meetup Saturday, that made it worth it for me. And like I said, the debate, I could take it or leave it. It really wasn't that great. But the ripple effect is going to be good. I think it's going to be huge still. But I personally, like you said, Gene, I just enjoyed meeting everybody face to face. That was great.
Absolutely, bro.
And yeah, brother. So you and met Dave, right? So what was your experience meeting Dave, Gene? Because in the last podcast we couldn't speak, right?
Bro. Dave. All right, so I get there. I got there early. Tim was the first guy I met. We had a great conversation with the guy who was on the fence named Mike, who happened to be a friend of Trey Smith. I had no idea, right? So, so Dave, a couple hours later, I get back to the ground floor. I walk right over to Dave and I go, "You look familiar," and he says, "You look familiar too." And I said, "Well, have you seen the Mechanical Realm?" And he goes, "Gene." And he comes over, gives me a great big hug. How you doing? How was your ride? Blah blah blah. He hands me. He's like, "You want a bottle of sauce?" Gives me a bottle of his hot sauce. That, by the way, TSA robbed from me. A little, 8-ounce bottle of Dave Weiss hot sauce. Guys, go buy some. All right, check it out. I have to go online and order. Actually, you know what? I only live about 45 minutes from Dave, so kind of hoping that we can, develop a relationship and maybe, do a couple things a little closer with each other, you know. But yeah, TSA took my sauce, man. You kidding? And then I'm going through. They told me you have a phone in the bag. I'm like, wow, they knew that bag was my phone. That's crazy. So I'm like, yeah, well, bring. She says, get it and bring it to me. The TSA was not very friendly in Tennessee. The TSA was way softer, way easier in LaGuardia in Queens, New York, than they were in Tennessee. Man, they acted like things happened yesterday because of the TSA, the way they were treating people. They were hardcore. And then she takes this spongy thing and starts swiping my phone all around with it. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you looking for? And she says, stuff. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, stuff. I'm like, wait, I'm like, if you break my phone with that thing, and I just left it at that. I was like, don't start with TSA, bro. They'll throw you on the ground right here. So I was like, just calm down. They were very unfriendly.
Oh yeah, and you guys were also mentioning about this some guy called Jack, and maybe he's not up to a stunt or something, right?
Oh, Jack. Guys, what was his last name? I can't remember his last name. This guy, it was a friend of David's. Again, me and this guy were helping Dave fold his pamphlets. He just bought boxes of pamphlets, and they were needed to be double folded. So we're standing there talking. Oh yeah, blah blah blah. He's a new flat earther. He's not sure how to handle it, this and that. I'm like, bro, you want to come on the podcast? Sure, So I got his number. But Jack is a friend of Dave's, and he's got a YouTube. Jack Vale is his name. You can find him on YouTube, and he invented a little rubber squeezy thing that makes fart noises, guys. And he walks around in stores with this thing, making noises and acting silly, like he's looking for something. He's reaching for things, and he's got a ton of videos with so many views. That if it's third grade stuff, okay, fine, go ahead, I'll give you that. But it's hysterical. The stuff is funny to watch the people's reactions to him, and he's a comedian. He's a funny dude. He's a really nice guy, and yeah. So that's what he's. I bet you he's got to be a freaking millionaire over and over this thing. He's got it for sale for like $15, and I can't imagine he didn't sell quite a bit of these things. We get the kids out there in schools and stuff. Come on, you know. But now Jack says, yeah, he would love to come on the show, and he didn't make it to the second day, and I texted him, and he'll get back to me. But I was curious what happened, and was looking forward to hanging out with him some more. Really good dude, really good dude. You know. Yeah, guys, I think that once you start to break a barrier like the flat Earth, and you're like, oh wow, water, the atmosphere, the moon, the sun, the stars, all these things. Somebody's got a trigger point where they're gonna fall apart with this, and I think those trigger points are becoming much more available in a broader area of where we are in life and where we're being set up with things. People just because it's just so prevalent in our lives with everything now. Now people are really starting to understand it's the schools. Last week I was talking to an 8th grade social studies teacher, and I'm like, oh, you're a teacher? So I just started rattling things off to her, and she was almost like shocked with a like a deer in the headlights look at me, and she was backing away going, oh my god. She's like, this, she had nothing to say against what I was rattling off at her, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, really, you're a teacher? Watch this, hold on, are you willing to listen? And as she's leaving, she's like, I'll be back, I'm coming back. I'm like, yeah, please, because you have to come back, we need to talk more. Everybody comes through. You know what? I'll talk to almost anybody, anywhere, and I like that stuff. I'll walk up to anybody, start talking to them. Doesn't bother me at all. People are people. Anybody can be cool, and anybody can have a bad day too. But I think in general, most people are really cool. But like you say, Vikka, we've said we're getting forced and all shoved into smaller and smaller corners, often financially. I hate to say it, you know, with the root of all evil kind of thing. It's more of a necessity for a lot of people, and that's why, like, we ought to be getting off grid, learning about how to do these things that we are not taught in school. And these gatherings are going to be more frequent and more available to people. I have a feeling that this is we're in the infant stages of what's going on around us, guys. And stay strong, you warriors. It's not always easy. It's not every, when I learned about water, I'm like, oh my God, look at this. How I just say, start explaining the physics of water to people and what it's supposed to do and what it does and what they say it does and what it don't do. And it was not the home run I thought it was going to be. Not all the
That's the
time,
best. That's the
So
best
we
part
have
about
our
flat
hands
Earth,
full
brother.
with this.
Exactly. That's the best part about flat earthers, because you wanna help your brothers and sisters who are sleeping, who doesn't know what's happening, and who are part of this uh, illusion, and who are very near to us, and you want to enlighten them, so that at least could help them in the future in their path. That's why I think all flat earthers have that urge of sharing, and that the message is spread how far it can, and can help people individually to grow and to be more conscious and to take the right way, right? It helps that, right? The other thing I wanted to mention
Oh
about
yeah.
the debate was, uh, because I found it's a bit strange, um, that Greg Locke, almost in the beginning, starts asking about the model, that your model is wrong, and Dean Odell starts speaking about the maps, and he mentions that both models are wrong, right? I know you guys heard that,
The map. He said the maps are wrong. All maps are wrong. All maps are wrong.
but also the
You know.
models are wrong. Yeah, you maybe check it out again.
Yeah.
It's quite in the beginning. So I think the knowledge of flat Earth that everyone, the community is sharing together, I think we all are really updated on it, right? And the mechanical documentary was especially about the flat Earth geocentric working model. This documentary is almost out from 2 months, right? In a way, like if people wanted to get the information before, but it's been already a week, and we all are updated in a way with everything with flat earth, every proof, every different discussion, every topic, it's quite complex, but we all have general idea, that's how we defend our flat earth to people who comes to attack us again. We want to be updated and be updated on everything, so what could become. So I thought that the team, or even the oral would have been updated a bit of it in relation, because of the flat earth, and the working model that's been presented in the mechanical realm, right? So I thought that these people would have taken advantage and seen it, and maybe add it to their arsenal if things come out like this. And for casuality, it was quite in the beginning that Greg Locke started asking for a model, and I think it was the perfect moment for Dean Odell to put him off track. I'm not saying that he should have spoke about the documentary, but he could have spoke about the technology and what it does and what it represents and what time is being from this technology that is being used, and which really proves the real creation what it is. Because if Dean Odell was taking reference of root words from the Greeks, from Hebrew to Greeks, to explain the root words of all the meanings of these verses,
That was
he
great.
could have taken even the technological part of that Greeks, because it's not just the Greeks made it, or it's just related to the Greeks, just because it has Greek inscriptions, just because a mobile is made maybe in China, maybe it is made in Taiwan, maybe it's made in Japan, maybe it is made in US, but it's the same mobile. It has the basic function. So the
Good
technology,
point.
like Antikythera mechanism, is a technology which was used by everybody. Just happened that the Greek used it in the earliest time till to this time, that it could have been found in a shipwreck, and all this study had come forward, right? So technology wise, this could be used as a proof to the evidence of the real creation that is geocentric, that is flat, that is stationary. And we try to provide this as a help for this debate, that it could have helped in a way to off track this video. Maybe it was just a basic surfing of all the anti-flat earth stuff, and he put it out there. He didn't do anything else, right? So I just found it a bit weird, just my opinion, that why this topic wasn't, why this mechanism wasn't, why he didn't mention it, because it says a lot. I don't know, maybe it's because it's connected with astrology or astronomy, or maybe it's if it's connected to the Greeks, or maybe it's, what could be the reason, right? So
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. You go.
No, go ahead, brother.
Um. Well, I was thinking what we were talking about before. When you said if they saw the part where Gutai was talking about the Kundalini, that could have been the end of it for them.
Yeah, part of the Christian community has been, brainwashed against yoga or any Eastern thought or philosophies, and that word Kundalini in Christian circles is a bad word. It's like, so. But I talked to Dean today. He said he'd only seen the first half, so the Kundalini mentioned in the documentary doesn't even come to the end.
Later, yeah.
But you might be right, Vikka. It might be because we mentioned astronomy and astrology and kind of say that they're closely related. And they were closely related for the Greeks and for everybody in the ancient cultures. Astronomy and astrology were almost hand in hand. It's not like astrology of today of reading your horoscope. It was very different back then. So that might be what threw some people off. But I think he had so much prepared. He had like 240 slides. He skipped through maybe half of them, and his presentation was still 2 hours, which was just way, way, way too long, in my opinion. But all in all, I'll still say it was good. I'll say it was a win. And
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'm going to just give my closing thoughts, and I'm going to sign off. I got something I want to do with my son.
Oh yeah, we are almost 2 hours, brother. So we are gonna be almost having our last thoughts, because
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'll give mine real quick. Two things. One of the coolest things for me, just being, with my new YouTube channel, Aloha from Florida, which is really, really new. I mean, I started it last year, but I only posted a couple little walks around the neighborhood. And then Dave saw one of my videos about 2 or 3 months ago, and he's like, Keith, you got to put that on YouTube so I can put it on the app. So I did that, but that's only been about 2 months now, maybe 3 months at the max.
Yeah.
And since then, I've put up 20 or 30 little videos of me just, doing my monologues and talking. And it was cool to walk around and people like just glance over at me. And I guess because of my look with my gray goatee and my dark hair or whatever, they're like, oh, hey, aloha, aloha. People kept saying aloha to me at the event several times. So that was kind of fun. I got to smile and laugh with them a little bit. And they told me how much they appreciate the videos. So that was cool. The other thing is, at the debate last night, I had reached out to Ben because Ben shared part of my story, like a lot of you guys did on the my True Earth Journey video. And I said, Ben, I'd love to chat with you sometimes. Give me a call or something. And like, a few hours later, he texted me, said, hey, this is Ben from Taboo Conspiracy. So he gave me his phone number, and we've had a few really good conversations since then. But last night at the debate, at the beginning of it, before it actually like started on the stage, I FaceTimed him from the debate, and he got to say hi to Austin and Dave Weiss and all these people that everybody knows in the flat Earth community. But it was just neat to kind of connect with him for one personally, and for me to just give a big thank you to him. He was very influential in my flat Earth education, 3 or 4 years ago, and he continues to be. He was working on another video that he'll be uploading soon, just yesterday. But it was cool
Did you invite him to the show? You got to get him on, bro.
I believe I did at some point. I don't think we talked about it last night, but I said, man, we'd love to have you on the podcast sometime. So we'll see. We'll hopefully he'll come. He seems like a great guy. He used to do debates in the early days of his channel or whatever, and he said he just totally got away from it. He said debates are not the right energy. It doesn't. He said it does not bring out the best in me. And I said, man, I can't agree. But like you said, Vika, of us being kind of caught up to date or current with most of the flat Earth knowledge and discoveries and the truths, like the mechanical realm and such. Um, it's like, how do I say it? It's not like we know more than other people, although in some ways related directly to flat Earth, we do. But it's got us to a place of, for me, of just thinking and feeling like, what's next? Okay, we have all this knowledge of the shape of the Earth and the science behind it, the scriptures behind it. We have all this knowledge. So what's next? So my gut or my heart tells me that there's like another wave of. I keep going back to that term tipping point, of maybe a tipping point for flat Earth, where it just starts to become more and more common sense. Like if you say to somebody, "Hey, have you heard of flat Earth?" and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that. Can you tell me more about it?" I think
Yeah, no, they start talking to you about it, and they
yeah,
bounce things,
where 3 or 4
right?
years ago, people are like, "No, are you crazy? Get away from me." But I think it's gaining so much traction and gaining momentum that a lot of us who've been into it for years now are prepared to start helping people, answer some of their simple questions. So it's been good to be with you guys again. The debate was just okay for me, but the meetups were great for me. I really enjoyed it. Gene, it was good to meet you. And hopefully Vika and Evelyn will all get to meet somewhere face to face one day too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, thanks for the whole effort for being there and also representing the mechanical realm, brother. That's
Yeah,
great.
Keith, bro, it was great to meet you, bro, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Oh yeah, brother. And this is the thing, take what you like, leave what you don't like, because we are never gonna agree on everything, right? As I say, the flat earth community is a huge community, right? There's every kind of race, culture, and tradition lives under this tent. And the day the people realize that there is no division, be it inter-religion or other religion, I think it's gonna change a lot. And I think flat earth can do that because there is nothing other thing that unites more. Not even any religion can unite as flat earthers unite. And you guys have seen that in this meetup, and that energy is there. So that's great. That's awesome. And that's I think Dean did a great job. I just felt like, there was some things could have been different, but amazing job. Yeah. And we are gonna like have our podcast with all these amazing guests in the future, and we're going to break it down, and we're also going to break down the mechanical realm more further, because this relates to many other things that we're going to be discussing in this podcast. We're going to have a renewed version of this podcast here, so make sure if you guys are here that you subscribe. Yeah, Gene, brother, go ahead. Thanks, Keith, brother.
Hey guys, yeah, Vika, I'll always be thankful to you for offering me a spot, man. And I told a couple people this weekend how it was kind of almost accidental, when you gave me the wrench to monitor the comments, and I was like, yeah, definitely. And then you and Rob had a guest coming on, and the guest couldn't make it, and he asked me to come on, and I was like, wow. And that was it, man. We started from there, and it's been a great journey, bro. And you're right, guys. The flat Earth is something we all live here. We're all walking around in this place on the flat Earth, right? And when people start to understand some of the simple aspects that you can point out to them, it's going to open so many more doors for us. And there could be some sort of new wave coming up. And you know what? The mechanical realm is going to help that wave get ushered in for a lot of people because of the history that this machine, this device, this out of time, out of place invention that was never mentioned in history. It's gonna strike a lot of attention and curiosity in people. So I would try to get ready because a lot of people are just starting to talk about it. They've been listening, and a lot of people don't just come right out. It took me 2 years to say anything, and when I finally did, it was an accident that I posted something. I would clip things and I was alluding. things about the moon and the stars and things things that are you can mention without actually saying it. And then one day I posted something by accident. I was like, oh well, there it is. Everybody knows now that I'm on these pages. Because me and my wife have a lot of friends. It was embarrassing. I wasn't ready to be embarrassed in front of hundreds of our friends. We have a lot of friends in common. I grew up in Brooklyn. There's just a lot of people there, and I was really scared and nervous, and it was cool to do it by accident because like the plane ride today, I was like, well, here we are. It's raining, and I had to let go of those fears that were just it was abuse to my imagination to think these things, kind of, to be creative, like in negative ways, is abuse to your imagination, guys. So, and if I can recognize that, I'm all in. Like the plane ride, the plane ride there, the takeoff, I was horrified. By the time we landed, even being horrified, I was looking out the window and I'm just like, wow, here we are, and I settled myself in. Guys, that internal conversation is not always just you talking to you. It's more so someone, the other you talking to you, right? And the subjects that we've covered here and that we're going to cover are all world applications for all of us, guys. And these are the things we're really trying to unite people with. And it's a great ride. I love you all. I met a lot of cool people this weekend, and we are, Vika. We're gonna have a lot of great shows coming up, bro. A lot of fun. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. It's always a pleasure. I'm always looking forward. And until next time, guys, stay flat. And if you're not talking yet, don't worry. You don't have to. You know, maybe if you just drop little seeds about the moon or water or however you do it. Be brave and just keep forging ahead because we could be living in a very very different world and it would really benefit all of us in the future, our children, our kids, and that's what I'm shooting for because today is done. Nothing we could do about 5 minutes ago, but we're all forging ahead. So, and you know what, guys, I'm really looking forward to meeting more of you and all of you, and especially you, Evelyn, you, Vika. We're gonna. I just feel like if we stay tight and keep the peace, keep these conversations open, we really could make that a reality. And that's in the back of my head and in the front of me. This the thoughts float around and they're there, guys. So it's a great ride, guys, and I'm having such a blast doing this with everybody. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here, and we'll see you next time. Have a great week.
Oh yeah, absolutely, brother. The intuition, you should trust our intuition, right? And then go with the flow, right? And we're never going to be disappointed, right? If we start listening to our mind, maybe we end up in places maybe we didn't expect it. But once you listen to your intuition and go with the flow, things happen, right? Sometimes you cannot change things, right? uh, it's more difficult to go against the flow, right? That's
Oh,
flowing.
sure it is.
So awesome, brother. Yeah. And same thing to you, brother. Thanks for all the effort, for being there and representing the the mechanical realm, the flat and the curve, the heliopsychosis. Definitely. Yeah, we're gonna have awesome stuff coming ahead too. We have done a lot of research. We have a lot of stuff podcasts that we have gone into detail, but we're gonna be doing revisit of many different things because all this topic in itself is never ending and expandable because it is so much that we could all learn and grow together. So awesome, brother.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, bro.
Evelyn, last thoughts?
Yes, yes. The coffee is wearing off, so I'll be quick.
That's great.
And yeah, I have to admit, I am jealous of Jean and Keith. I mean, everything seems to be happening so fast there in the US. And when I hear about all these churchgoers who are actually flat earthers, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. And here I am in the Netherlands. That they're so indoctrinated. It's it's appalling to see. It's sad to see, especially when you're the only one in your family who's sort of woken up fully, and you see the rest of the family just still um, in under the indoctrination and under the um, believing believing that the government is there for to take care of you and all that. It's and I thought I could do my best in maybe through my Facebook group to sort of gather all these biblical authors in the Netherlands. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Um, but well, how I think about it is every little effort is worth the effort to get just at least one person, to find one person that you see commenting in a post, and then you just send a friend request, and then I invite them to my group, and it works that way. It works that way. um so they are out there. They are out there, but they don't know where they can meet other people who think the same, who believe the same. So yes, I I think I think I am the only one with a biblical cosmology uh, group in the Netherlands, and I think I have about around 170 members in the group, and not all of them are Dutch. Um, but yeah, every little bit, every little effort uh, is worth it, and I hope to I hope that I can just help these people to come together, and um, maybe in the future also come together in 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 real life, in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely it's
Mm,
possible, Evelyn. You
mm.
just have to
Keep
focus.
working at it. I have to keep
Yeah,
working at it.
exactly. You just have to give your energy to it, right? We humans, the creator has just on what we focus, right? If we focus on positive and we focus on goals,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a
Yes.
lot of distraction, right? A lot of distraction in every way that you don't be on the right path, right? So, oh yeah, we hope your dream come true, right? With that, to get these people together. Thank you, Evelyn, for being here. Yes, we had an crazy weekend with this debate and all this movement and all this meetup, and I'm really happy in a way how it turned out, right? So, and yeah, make sure you guys are here next week or for our next podcast. We have gonna have amazing topics and guests as we mentioned. So I want to thank everyone who did support the Mechanical Realm. If you have not watched yet, you can find it on this channel. And yeah, the Mechanical Realm and the Flatten the Curve are weapons that could be used against this fake indoctrination they have going with this globe earth. So thank you everybody for being here. Thanks Evelyn, thanks Keith, thanks Gene, and thank you everybody in the chat. Vikka Draziv signing out. See you in the next episode, guys. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.